We all know that we can use a yoga strap like this to make our arm longer in straight-legged hamstring stretch poses. But that tends to be like the main way that we see yoga straps used in yoga classes. However, there are many other different ways that we can use straps that are kind of on the more creative side, but they have a lot to offer our practice. So in this video, I'm going to show you my top 5 favorite ways to use a yoga strap creatively to get more out of this super common yoga prop. Here's my first creative way to use a yoga strap. And this is to help us in a super novel way to link together two poses that we might not think about linking together. So these poses are navasana and an L-sit. So I'm going to show you them like without the strap first. Navasana, you're probably familiar with. That is our boat pose. Looks something like this. And then an L-sit is where we start in dandasana or staff pose, and then we lift up and hover our legs. And I'll show you my best attempt, which is not a great attempt. This is a super challenging movement to work with, but an L-sit is something like this. We float the legs, so maybe you could see that my feet were floated like an inch for a very short time, but it's a super challenging pose. So anyway, I love the strap though for this. So here's what we could do. We can use the yoga strap to link these two poses together in a way that will make us feel light and connected and probably totally new with both poses. So we take the strap. It needs to be in a pretty long, large loop. So you'll, fasten the strap and it's in a big loop. And then we place the strap right behind, kind of like our mid-back area. You could feel out what feels best for your body. And then we hook the strap around our feet. And here's where we will enter navasana. So here, I could take my legs up, I can lean back into the strap and I can hang out here. And I don't have to do all of this front body work in order to embody the shape. I have this excellent strap to support me. And then let's see what it's like. We're gonna go right into the L-sit. And you probably remember how I did it before. Let's see what it looks like here. So from navasana, I can lower down and simply float. See, my hips are off, my feet are off. And this is still work. I totally feel the work. But look how long I'm able to stay here and even keep talking to you. So that's kind of the idea. We have this excellent strap to support us here in navasana. Then we get to tip forward for L-sit or floating dandasana, and you could think of going back and forth like a teeter-totter, or you could of course split up the sequence and just use the strap for navasana and just use it for your L-sit. But I really like this linking together of the two. So this is my favorite way, number 1, to creatively use a yoga strap. Here's my second favorite creative way to use a yoga strap, and this is for the yoga pose Warrior 3 pose. So here's Warrior 3 without the strap. One of the key elements in Warrior 3 is to really find this ability to reach long through the lifted leg, to really reach from the lifted hip all the way out through the foot, and to find this long line of energy here that just helps us to be anchored and connected in the pose. So one way that we can actually use a prop as like feedback to help us find that is using our yoga strap. So again, you would loop the strap and you'll find like the individual size of the loop that works for your body. But what we're looking for is for that loop to be about the size that our arm can reach down and just catch on, and there's tension in the strap. So I have the strap hooked around my right foot, my right arm reaches down, I hold the strap, and all of this, arm and leg, they're kind of locked together, clicked together when everything is straight here. So that's the strap setup. And then from there, we try to find our Warrior 3 pose. So we tip forward, we can kick our foot into the strap and see if that felt sensation of the strap to kick into helps us find that long line of energy back through that lifted leg. We could reach the left arm forward or have the hand in front of your heart or even have that arm back by your side. There are all sorts of variations there. But this is the idea, is we kick into the loop of the strap, then we can reach forward through the crown of our head and find all of this great connection and lightness in the pose. Here's my third favorite creative way to use a yoga strap. And this is a great way to help us step up our core work. So we often do reclined core work where we are lying on our back. There are many variations, but let's say we're thinking of like a dead bug variation. So arms, legs up, and then we reach opposite arm, opposite leg long. So this is reclined core work. And one of the key elements whenever we're doing core work on our back like that is that we want to keep our low back pressed into the floor because that's what helps us really turn on our abdominals and load this area of the body. There is a tendency in reclined core work to not do that and to instead, as we say, like lower a leg and an arm, we start to arch the back up away from the floor. I know it might be a little tough to see, but we lose this contact. We've tipped the pelvis forward. And when that happens, it's just not optimal in the core work because we are offloading the work from our anterior core where we want it off that to other areas of the body. So we don't want to find this like lumbar arch. Instead, we want to push the low back into the floor. So with that said, this is where the strap comes in. I really love this application of the strap. So you would take your strap, fold it a bunch so that it's like got some thickness to it. Like I've folded this, multiple times. So it's not just like one layer of the strap, but it's multiple layers. So I've got this thick folded up strap. Then I get to lie down with the strap under my low back. So this key area of the body that we want to keep grounded. I lie back over the strap and now I can really feel the presence of the strap there because I made this like thick fold. It kind of pokes up and I can push down into it with my low back. That will posteriorly tilt my pelvis and instantly engages my anterior core. So then I commit to feeling my low back push into the strap. And then I won't let my low back leave the strap. I can feel that contact is there because I'm using the strap. And this helps me control my core work and send the work right where I want it, which is the anterior core. So this is one of my favorite creative and different ways to use a yoga strap to help us make our core work more effective. Here's my fourth creative way to use a yoga strap. Now, at first, it might seem like this isn't actually that much different because we tend to see yoga straps used this way pretty regularly in yoga. But this will be a variation on supta padangusthasana. So this is our reclined single leg hamstring stretch. We lie on our back, one leg reaches up. And we probably all know that we can use a strap, this is very common, to loop around our lifted foot to help make our arms longer for the hamstring stretch. So this is kind of common and normal. We typically see this. But what I really like, what we could do to layer on and make this different, is we can turn this hamstring stretch into a PNF stretch, or a stretch where we actually activate the muscles that we're targeting, the muscles that we're stretching, which are the hamstrings here. So we will hold on to the strap firmly with our hands, and this strong strap is going to hold our leg in our stretch. So we position the leg where we start to feel a stretch through the back of the leg, and we could hold this for a little bit just to have a passive stretch for a bit. Then we layer on PNF, which is an abbreviation for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, which is just like kind of fancy language for we're stretching and we're gonna activate the muscles we're stretching. So we use our hands to hold the strap, hold the leg in place. Then we start to kick this leg back down to the floor. So it's like we want that to happen. We're trying to make that happen, but the strap will not let us. It holds us in place. So our arms are working here to resist this kick of the leg down, and that's engaging, activating our hamstrings. They're trying to pull the leg down, but they can't go anywhere. So it's an isometric activation of the hamstrings in a lengthened position. So we can hold that for a bit, and then we can let that go. We're still in our stretch. And it's often the case that after we do like one PNF stretch like that, we gain some instant extra range of motion. So you might find you can pull your leg a little closer, which is why this is a nice strategy for flexibility. Now we're in a deeper range. We could stretch there for a bit. And then we can layer on this active engagement again. We hold our hands on the strap to hold the leg in place. And it's not very obvious to the outside eye, but I am actively kicking this leg down, even though no movement is happening, so it's not that obvious to see. And I resist with my arms in the strap, and then I get to turn on these hamstrings, work them against resistance isometrically. And then after that, we could let that contraction go. Maybe we find we've opened up the range of motion a little more and we can stretch in our new range. So using the yoga strap in supta padangusthasana to bring in some PNF stretching is one of my favorite ways to use the strap. Here's my fifth and final favorite way to use a yoga strap. And this is for a shoulder mobilization move called shoulder flossing. So we probably know that we can perform active shoulder circles, like where our arms reach up and then all the way back behind us, and then maybe reach back and all the way up. We can do that as like a mobility drill for the shoulders. So with shoulder flossing, we basically do that, but we do that while we're holding on to a strap or any similar object like a scarf or something like that. So typically we'll want to hold the strap. Like, it's a good idea to start with a pretty wide grip. And then once you feel it out for your body, you might decide to narrow that up. But we hold the strap like wider than shoulder distance, pull apart on the strap. I like to do that because that helps layer on a little more activation through the shoulders. Then we lift our arms up and then we keep holding the strap. You may find you need to widen your hands as the arms start to reach back because we need a little more space here. And then strap all the way down and then reach that strap back. And generally here where the arms are kind of reaching back into this like Y shape, but with the Y back behind a bit, this tends to be the place we feel the stretch the most, like across the chest and then all the way up and down. So that's shoulder flossing. And if you found that holding like super wide just wasn't really enough, like enough stretch feeling, then you can narrow your hands and bring them a little closer. And then we just go up and all the way back. And the idea is you want to keep your spine super still so that we're not reaching up and then arching the spine. We're trying to keep the spine neutral so that we just target shoulder mobility. Now, I just want to throw in a little extra loop here, which is to say that I really love the yoga strap for shoulder flossing, but I have a preferred prop that I know not everybody has. But if you happen to be in a setting where you have resistance bands available, resistance bands can look differently. I happen to have this loop resistance band that I like a lot. I personally prefer resistance bands over straps for shoulder flossing, and that's because you might remember that I said when the arms go up, once they start going back, you might feel that you need to widen your hands because that position is where the stretch is the strongest, so you might need to make a little more space. Well, with the resistance band, that it is a stretchy, it has tension and it can pull wider itself. So whereas the strap is taut and you aren't able to stretch it at all, the resistance band can stretch. So that gives us more flexibility. I really like this. And then we can hold with our hands, pull apart, reach up. And then when we get to that place where we just need a little more space, we don't really have to widen our hands on the resistance band. Instead, the band will naturally widen and then it'll pull back in once we pass that place where we needed the space. So it just naturally adapts to what we need as we move through this movement pattern. And we don't have to worry about moving our hands because the prop itself can expand and then pull back in, contract back in. So I'm just saying, I love the yoga strap for this. And if that's all that you have, then definitely use it. But if you happen to have a resistance band, I think that you might like that a little bit better. That wraps up my 5 favorite creative ways to use a yoga strap. And if you appreciated this content, 2 things: subscribe to my channel and also consider signing up for my email newsletter. There's a link for that in the description below. I send out a very regular email newsletter that's full of free educational tips and movement science-based insights for yogis. So subscribe to my channel and sign up for my email newsletter, and I will see you soon.